Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today doing another fantasy football mock draft video. Today, we're doing a 10-team PPR draft from pick 10 for one of my subscribers, Ty Wilson. If you guys have a recommendation for what you guys want to see me do in the mock draft, I'll certainly do it for you. You may have to wait a couple of days because I get a bunch of requests. Everyone's video's coming, though. Anyone request it, your video will be out someday. I may have to start doing double mocks and another video. You guys might be seeing 3, 4 videos from me every single day. So make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell, because if you want to win your championship, this is the one-stop shop to win your championship. I'm going to give you all the draft advice, all the advice during the season, and you guys are going to kiss that beautiful trophy at the end of the season. And you know how you got it. You got it from me. And you also got it from yourself, because you got to make your own decisions. I can't just make every single person's decision, but I can help you make those correct decisions. So, we're doing a 10-team PPR mock draft on Sleeper app. From the 10 slot, the roster size is 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, a kicker, a defense, and 6 bench spots. So we're going to get right into the draft right here. The first pick of the draft was Saquon Barkley, followed by Ezekiel Elliott, Run, CMC, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Adams, D. Andre Hopkins, David Johnson, and Le'Veon Bell. So when you're at the here, let me just pause the draft. When you're at the 10 slot, you can do two things here. You can either go for the double wide receiver strategy, which is pretty popular at the 9 or 10 in a PPR draft, because you're going to be able to get that value later because it's a 10-team draft. Everyone's team is going to be pretty stacked. So you can go for the wide receiver wombo combo, which is a pretty good strategy in my opinion. I personally like to go running backs early, but I think the strategy can work with some decent running back depth in the middle of the draft. At the 10 slot, you're normally seeing guys like Julio, Tyreek, Odell, Juju, AB. All those guys typically still available unless someone else is trying to do this strategy that is slightly earlier before you. If they're at like the 8 slot and they go wide receiver, Julio Jones may not be there for you. You may be stuck with Michael Thomas, which I think is still a solid option, so you shouldn't be disappointed with either of those guys. But in my opinion, Julio Jones is the best wide receiver available, and that's what we're going to take. But there's also another strategy you can utilize, which is a tight end in the second round. So you can go Julio, and then if Travis Kelce is there, you can go Travis Kelce. So you have one of the best wide receivers in fantasy and the best tight end by far. In my opinion, I don't necessarily want to pick now tight ends in a 10-team format is way better because you get so much. You have such a Everyone else has a pretty even wide receiver, running back, quarterback, flex, kicker and defense. Kicker and defense don't really matter, but everyone's quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers and flexes are all pretty good typically. But the one position where you can gain the true advantage in the 10-team league is the tight end position. So going a guy like Travis Kelce could come with huge value here. Now I would much rather wait till the end of the third and select a guy like Kittle, if he falls to me, or Ertz, and I feel like I would like my team a lot better if I did that. So we're going to resume the draft here. We are going to be going with the best wide receiver available in Julio Jones. Now in the second round, we could look running back or wide receiver. Now I said the 2 wide receiver strategy could prove to be quite good in a 10-team draft in PPR. Full PPR is what this is. So it could end up working. For that reason, I want to go with the double wide receiver strategy. Now, will this work? I think so. Now, the thing is, there's a few wide receivers available, so I'm going to pause the draft so I can explain. Now, there's Tyreek, Odell, Juju, AB, all guys that should be on your board at the 2-1. Now, I don't necessarily like AB that much, so he's kind of off my board at the 2-1, but he may be on your board. So those are the kind of guys I'm talking about. Tyreek Hill, big play upside. I think that last year he had games where he was inconsistent. See, 36, 27, 14, 12. So now, if he's your wide receiver 1, I'm kind of worried about that, right? He's not very consistent. He drops 40, he drops 10, but he's pretty safe because he gets 12 points, or he's going to get you 30. Whereas some guys like Juju is going to score like 18 every week, in my opinion, or 20 points every week in fantasy this season. So maybe you want that, but I want the big play upside here. And for my wide receiver too, I'm very, very confident in going with a wide receiver of super high, not even high risk, just with super big playability in Tyreek Hill. And for that reason, I'm going with Tyreek Hill here. After I selected Tyreek Hill, Juju Smith-Schuster came off the board, followed by James Conner, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, Dalvin Cook, OBJ, Joe Mixon, Mike Evans, Damian Williams, Nick Chubb, Keenan Allen, AB, Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Aaron Jones, T.Y. Hilton. So now it's our pick. After our pick, a couple of guys I want to talk about. Now, I made a video yesterday talking about first and second round, or the past couple of days talking about first and second round ADP. The third round ADP video is coming out later at 12 p.m. So stay tuned for that. That's EST. I don't know what time it is if you're in California or something. I'm not some type of mathematician who can figure that out instantly while I'm running through all these numbers in my head right now, talking about numbers, all this shit. Todd Gurley, you don't want to draft him due to his knee arthritis. You don't want some guy who's just gonna magically just be out randomly during the game, might be randomly out a week, or they might say he's perfectly fine, and then he's getting 3 fucking snaps or some shit like in the Super Bowl. You got a guy right after him, another guy I like to avoid, Dalvin Cook, due to his injury proneness. I like to avoid injury, and for that reason, I'm out on Dalvin Cook. There was a bunch of other good picks here, pretty typical picks over here. Patrick Mahomes falls to the 3-6. Now, in your at-home league, he may go in the first 2 rounds, but I'd prefer to get him in the 5th round in a one-quarterback draft. At the 3-7, his teammate, Travis Kelce, or Zeus, as some call him, that's a great pick in the 3rd round. Typically, he doesn't fall that far, so I would feel pretty confident if I had DJ, Melvin Gordon, and Travis Kelce. Actually, I would not feel very confident because I don't know what is happening with Melvin Gordon. I personally would not draft him in the 2nd round due to not knowing what's going to happen. I got burned last year by Lev Bell holding out. I don't want to get burned this year by Melvin Gordon holding out, so for that reason, I would not draft him at that very spot. But otherwise, the team, if Melvin Gordon was to play, would be pretty fucking good. Now, it's our pick. And we're not going wide receiver again, which you could do. You go for the 3 wide receiver strategy, get that flex appeal with your 3rd wide receiver, a guy like Stefan Diggs, a guy like Jules. That's obviously potential here, but we're going to look to go with a running back here first. And I talked about in the 3rd round ADP video that's coming out later. Ooh, sneak peek, spoiler alert. Leonard Fournette is not a guy I'm targeting due to his injury proneness. He doesn't show up to camp. He doesn't show up to pictures. He just does all the maybe he shows up to camp, but he definitely doesn't show up to pictures. He does some random shit. You don't want him on your team in fantasy football, in my opinion. Fuck Leonard Fournette in fantasy in the 3rd round. Much rather go with a guy like Marlon Mack, who in my opinion is a lot safer. He's obviously not a pass catching back, which obviously gives you benefits in fantasy. They'll probably target him a few times a game. He may come down with some passes, but which is obviously a bonus over some guys who may not even, like Derrick Henry's never gonna fucking catch the ball, in my opinion. So I like Marlon Mack here. He seems very safe in my opinion. I like to preach safety in these drafts, and my running back 1 being so safe in Marlon Mack is obviously something I believe you should target in fantasy football. So with our 3rd pick, we select Marlon Mack of the Indianapolis Colts with our 4th round selection here. We're looking for running back again. Now, like I said, you could go tight end here to get that tight end positional advantage, but I think my team will end up so much better if I just wait on tight end here than go tight end. If somehow, by the grace of the holy football gods above, we end up getting Kittle or Ertz in the 5th round, that's a straight up steal. We're fucking winning this fake draft. We just absolutely smoked these computers in the ass. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go with a running back here. And my favorite running back to draft at this position, it's kind of a reach. People tell you, oh, you're a fucking reacher. I'm not reaching for shit because it's not much of a reach in my opinion. And that is Mr. Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson this year is going to get the touches. He's going to be the bell cow back. They just let go. Today is 3:27 when I made this video. You guys are seeing it on 3:28. Tomorrow is definitely a day. It's a Sunday. It's almost football Sunday, boys. It's almost football time. Or girl. There's no girls that watch these videos. I've checked the analytics. It's 100% men, so I'm only just talking to some dudes. You can send this to your girlfriend. I may steal her, though. Just kidding. I have a girlfriend. I can't do that. But, Kerryon Johnson at the running back. As my running back 2, I'm confident with him being my running back 1. I think he could finish as a running back 1. He has such high upside. Theo Riddick's gone. Kerryon Johnson can catch the ball. He's got those hands. Unlike Jordan Howard. That is a joke at Jordan Howard because of how bad he was at catching the ball. I love, or like Devin Funchess. Devin Funchess doesn't have any hands either. Kerryon Johnson can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He can do it all. He could be a three-down back. I believe Matt Patricia said that he will use the hot hand at running back, and the hot hand isn't going to be fat C.J. Anderson. It's going to be Mr. Kerryon Johnson for the Detroit Lions. And at the 4-1, I believe he is indeed a fucking steal. He may even crawl up into the back half of the second round by the time it is draft season in just 1 month. So we'll lock it in, Mr. Kerryon Johnson. After we picked Kerryon Johnson, George Kittle comes off the board, followed by Leonard Fournette, Stefon Diggs, Derrick Henry, Zach Ertz, Josh Jacobs, AJ Green, Julian Edelman, Devontae Freeman, Brandon Cooks, Andrew Lucky Charms, Kenyon Drake, Chris Godwin, Mark Ingram, David Montgomery, Philip Lindsay, Kenny Galladay, not Kenyon Drake, my bad, Tariq Cohen. All right, boys. Now it is my pick. I'm going to pause the draft so I can talk about something. It's Kenyon Drake now. I'm a Dolphins fan. You can see the Dolphins logo here. I used to like Kenyon Drake. I still think Kenyon Drake's the best running back on the team, but they're running Mr. Kalen Ballage with the first team snaps. It's very fucking confusing. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't trust Kenyon Drake now in the 5th round. I just can't pull the trigger. I'd rather pull the trigger later on Kalen Ballage, who could end up being the running back one on the Dolphins, even if the Dolphins aren't that great of a team this year. That obviously comes with some value. So for that reason, I'm out on Kenyon Drake for right now. It may come out that Kenyon Drake's running first team snaps, then I'm all back in on the Drake train on my boy KD. But for now, strictly against that. Right now, we're looking, all the big 3 tight ends are gone. The 2 top quarterbacks are gone. In a 10-team league, you can definitely just wait on quarterback and get a guy like Matt Ryan or Breeze in like the 7th or 8th round, and I'm pretty confident at doing that. Now, I'm not sure in your at-home draft if they will fall that far because a lot of people like to pick quarterbacks early. I'm talking very fast right now like an auctioneer. 1-2 sold to the man in the back. And you want to know who I am going to sell and absolutely buy? Actually, I'm going to buy. I'm not selling anyone. This is not the buy sell video that comes out at 12. Check that out. No free ads. So, we're looking at the running back position because I know for a fact, actually, we're going to go wide receiver because we put the wide receiver on the flex and the running back on the bench, and our team looks way better because it's a PPR draft now. Now that doesn't fucking matter because we're not because we can't set the lineup here. This once we do this mock, it's over. But when you do your out, you got to be mocking like it's your real draft, like you want to win, like you're gonna absolutely fuck these other 9 people in the league, and you're gonna win, kiss that trophy at the end of the year, like I say you're gonna want to do. So for that reason, we're going wide receiver, the best wide receiver available on the board. You're currently looking, your sniper scope is in. You see guys like Robert Woods, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, Jarvis Landry, DJ Moore, Mike Williams, all guys that are perfectly acceptable to pick here. Actually, DJ Moore, Jarvis, I'd wait a bit longer on. But the guy I'm looking at most here, it's between Woods and Ridley. Now, maybe a lot of people may like Ridley more than Woods, but when you already draft Julio, in my opinion, I'm not trying to get 2 Atlanta wide receivers and go Matt Ryan on the same team. I just don't think that'll work. I think if you have the running back and receiver on the same team, that's fine. If you got the running back, receiver, quarterback, that's fine. You got the receiver, the running back, the tight end. If you got the running back, receiver, and tight end, you got Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill, you're probably going to absolutely smoke some people some weeks. But I'm not about getting that stack of 2 wide receivers on the same team. I don't think it works out in my opinion. Unless you're talking about daily fantasy, it may work in that, but this is season long. We're playing for the whole goddamn season. And we want Robert Woods here because I think, in my opinion, I'd rather go him over Ridley. He's like the 1 or the 2 on the Rams. He's gonna be catching hella passes. Jared Goff's gonna turn it up this year all the way to the max. He's flipping the switch. I just flipped the switch. You know what I'm saying? Like Drake or Offset, whoever sings that song. I think it's Drake and Quavo, but that doesn't matter. This is not a rap video. This is a video about fantasy football, and you want Robert Woods on your fantasy team. He's going to be catching balls. He's going to be catching touchdowns. He is going to be looking pretty cool in those color rush uniforms they have that are blue and yellow. I'm all in on Robert Woods. The Rams are going to have a pretty similar year to last year, I believe. Maybe they're not going to end up in the Super Bowl. I personally think that Mr. Drew Brees will end up in the Super Bowl, but it's A-okay. We're going to go with Robert Woods at this pick. So, after we went Robert Woods, it is now our pick yet again, and I got quite distracted by just thinking about how good this fucking lineup is. Alright, funny jokes, funny jokes. So it's our pick. And if you wanted here, you could go tight end, but none of the tight ends have been flying off the board. And maybe in your at-home league, OJ Howard's already gone. He may already be gone. Evan Ingram may already be gone if you got a Giants fan. These Giants fans, they suck Evan Ingram off. They love it. Just like they loved fucking Daniel Jones. I'm just kidding. Daniel Jones is terrible. But this is not a Giants podcast. This is a fantasy football video. So I think we need another running back. We got our 3 receivers. We got 2 running backs. We want to get that running back depth and go tight end and quarterback slightly later. So when we're looking for depth here, now typically I like to go Mr. Chris Carson here, right? And I think he's going to be great on Seattle. I think he's going to get a shit ton of touches. But James White has so much value on the Patriots. He is pretty much a receiver that is a running back, right? He is going to be catching hella passes in fantasy. He's got great hands. He's always consistent on the Patriots. Edelman may have some off games. Gronky Poo had some off games. But you want to know who doesn't have off games? Mr. James White, the Super Bowl sensation. And I like James White here at the 6-1 now. Leave down in the comments. Maybe you would have went Chris Carson here. Who knows? Maybe you wanted Tevin Coleman or Sony Michel. Sony Michel's fucking fucked up leg have an ass on the PUP. You don't want that. But maybe you do. So leave a comment. And when you're down there leaving the comment, click that fucking subscribe button. Because I want you guys to win your championships. I know I'm going to win my championships, but are you going to hop along there with me? Hop on the bandwagon and win your championship with me. So we're going James White here, New England running bike. Pretty much New England wide receiver. So after we selected James White, Chris Carson came off the board, followed by O.J. Howard, Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Rodgers, Tyler Lockett, Sony Michel, Jarvis Landry, Evan Ingram, Deshaun Watson, DJ Moore, Alshon Jeffrey, Mike Evans, Robbie Anderson, Hunter Henry, Baker Mayfield, and Drew Brees himself. So a lot of quarterbacks have been going down. So right now, I'm going to pull the trigger on the quarterback because I don't think Mr. Matthew Ice is going to fall to the 9th round. Now, Matt Ryan plays 13 games in a dome this season. That is obviously going to have some benefits for you. The ball isn't going to be fucking spinning in weird directions. It's not going to be hooking left. It's not going to be hooking right. It's going to be going straight at the man. Matt Ryan has a great arm, and we have Julio Jones on our team, so that's a stack. We're going to be getting hella points from Julio Jones to Matt Ryan, and Julio Jones is going to be catching touchdowns this year, I hope. So for that reason, we're going to go Matt Ryan here. After we selected Matthew Ice, we are going to be going with, I think we can wait one more round on the tight end. Hopefully my man, Vance McDonald doesn't go. Or should I pull the trigger here? All right, we're going to look at the running backs. There's still some solid depth at running back here. Guys that I think I can get in the 9th round in a 10-team league. So I'd rather just secure my tight end here and have a great starting lineup here. Now, you need depth to win, but I think Vance McDonald is the best option here. I think he's going to be catching a lot of passes in Pittsburgh. I don't like Ebron because Mo Alley Cox is there. So is Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle come back from an injury. And we know Andrew Luck loves himself some Jack Doyle. So for that reason, we're not about that. Now, Jared Cook, obviously a pretty good tight end. I don't really necessarily love him that much, and I'd rather just get my main man, Vance McDonald. So after we selected Vance McDonald, Dante Pettis comes off the board, followed by Carson Wentz, Rashad Penny, Lamar Miller, Darrell Henderson, Tevin Coleman, Darius Geis. I just talked about how there's so much running back depth, and they all went. Oh, what a joke. Allen Robinson, Christian Kirk, Latavius Murray, Eric Ebron, Geronimo Allison, Jared Cook, Chicago Bears defense, Will Fuller, Sterling Shepard, Miles Sanders, Sammy Watkins. So, let me tell you something. Sterling Shepard, you can't draft him. He may be out the first couple of weeks of the season due to his injury that happened in training camp 2 days ago. Maybe 3 days ago now. Who knows? It was a couple of days ago. He fucked up one of his fingers. You don't want that. And the running back depth did end up just absolutely being gone. But there's still some running backs that I like. So, we are going to be going with a running back here because we already got our receivers. There's always receivers later. There's not really always running backs later that I like a lot. So that's my philosophy in just going so many running backs now. A lot of people will tell you, oh, this is fucking stupid. It's PPR, you need receivers. But I believe that you need the running backs. I believe that is how you win in fantasy. And we went heavy wide receiver early, which I typically don't do, but our team still ended up great. But the running backs that you're going to be seeing later are not as good. Now it's a 10-team league, so there's still going to be a lot of running backs I like later. There's guys like Rojo right here, and a guy that's the guy I'm gonna select here. But all right, let me just talk about Rojo here so I can make the pick now. Ronald Jones, aka Rojo, is a running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. He obviously not the greatest, didn't play that good last year. He played kind of shit. Peyton Barber, Mr. 3.1 yards per carry, or 3 point something yards per carry, he fucking sucks. And I still like him later in the draft because he can still do something. He may end up being the running back one on an offense that's going to end up being able to get to the end zone, throwing the ball so much with Jameis Winston. I think Rojo will hammer in those touchdowns. I think Rojo will get the touches this year. And at the 9th round, that is extreme value in my opinion. It's like we're extreme couponing, and we just made the fucking grocery store give us back the money. That's what we're doing with Ronald Jones in the 9th round. So I'm going to go Ronald Jones here. Extreme couponing. Ronald Jones. So after we selected Mr. Rojo, I'm going to go back in the draft and talk about how the fuck this retard picked the Chicago Bears defense. Don't pick the Chicago Bears defense. Don't pick them this early. You just wait for a defense, and I'll explain to you how to pick a defense later. I probably should not have said the word retard, but I'm sorry if you got offended. I really don't care, but I want those juicy sponsorships, so sorry that I said that. But I'm not editing it out, so it's fine. So we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs, and we have 3 wide receivers, a quarterback, and a tight end. So we're going to be looking for more running back depth, and we're going to hammer this pick here of Austin Eckler now. Like I said earlier, Melvin Gordon, not looking too spicy. He's looking like he may hold out. He may not play the first couple of games. And if he doesn't play the first couple of games, Austin Eckler's hopping in the flex spot because he's a pass catching running back, and he's going to do great work while Melvin Gordon's gone. And if Melvin Gordon gets traded, Austin Eckler's going to eat, and his ADP is going to be fucking rising like your cock in the morning. So we're going to go with Austin Eckler here. After we went Austin Eckler, Kareem Hunt went, followed by MVS, Larry Fitzgerald, Royce Freeman, Jordan Howard, Russell Wilson, Corey Davis, Jalen Samuels, Marvin Jones, Damian Harris, Kyler Murray, D.D. Westbrook, Golden Tate, Cam Newton, LA Rams defense, LaShawn McCoy, Cortland Sutton. So here's where we get some wide receivers. Or we get like one wide receiver. Now let me pause this so I can just talk real quick. I need to stop with the pick timer at 1 because I constantly have to pause the drafts, but it's okay. So a lot of the quarterbacks are gone now. In these, we already have a quarterback. We already have Matt Ryan, but in these like 10-team leagues, a lot of people are wasting a bench spot. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bench spots. I thought we had fucking 6. God damn it. 4, 5, 6. We have 7 bench spots. We'll draft all 7 spots, but I thought we had 6. I don't know what is up with my brain right now, but you don't need in a 7 bench spot league, you do need a backup quarterback, I think, because everyone will roster a backup quarterback, so I will. But in a typical 5 or 6 bench spot league, when you're in a 10-team league, there's going to be guys on the waiver. When Matt Ryan is on bye, you just flip someone in from the waiver wire, and that's what you're going to do. So that's all I have to say. So at the wide receiver position, we have N'Keal Harry, obviously a guy who, as you guys may know, he's a rookie. New England drafted in the first round. He's a guy who, in the real NFL draft, he was drafted in the first round. He's a guy that could have talent in the next couple of years. I don't know if it'll be this year. He obviously could, if he ends up being targeted like he could be from Tom Brady, he's going to end up as a great option, a steal in the 11th round. But I'd much rather go with the guy I feel safer with in my main man, Kiki, Do You Love Me, Cootie, here, because Kiki, he's going to end up the wide receiver too. Now you're going to tell me, oh, Nick, Will Fuller. Oh, oh boy, I'm fucking Mickey Mouse. Will Fuller. So Will Fuller is not a guy. Hopefully you guys can just click away from my Mickey Mouse impression. But Will Fuller is going to end up getting hurt like he always does. And Kiki Cootie's going to end up being the wide receiver too. He's the wide receiver 3 right now. Though they don't really run too many wide receiver 3 sets, I believe. But he'll still be out there catching those balls, and he's a solid option in the 11th round who I like a lot. In PPR and standard, obviously, I don't think he's going to be scoring very many touchdowns, but he could be once my main man Will Fuller leaves. So, and Deshaun Watson, great quarterback, is on a great team with an old running back in Lamar Miller. But that's fine. We're going to go with Kiki Cootie here. After we selected Mr. Kiki Cootie, it's our pick again. We have 1, 2, 3, a 4 running backs, and a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5 running backs. And like I always say, more important to get more running backs than receivers. And the running backs go fast, like I always said. So there's a lot of guys I have highlighted down here that I like later. But I don't like I don't really like Duke Johnson that much, but I still have him highlighted. I don't like Frank Gore. That's from last year. I cancel that out. I put a line through that bitch. So at the running back position, we're looking at Dante Foreman or Jerick McKinnon. Do we want the young blood in Houston who could potentially take the running back one spot from Mr. Lamar Miller, the old man, or do we want Mr. Jerick McKinnon, a guy who is going to be the pass catching back on that team, a guy who was drafted very highly last year, I believe, and is now all the way at the back of the draft. And he's a pass catching back. He may have some value on San Francisco now. We don't know which running back is going to be the running back one. There's a fucking carousel of guys. There's so many names that I completely forgot who half of them are. Jerick McKinnon, you got Matt Breida, and you've got some other guys on that team. Very confusing. I'm actually going to just probably stray. I like straying away from these San Francisco guys, but in the 12th round, I believe the value is very high on Jerick McKinnon, where I believe he'll play a lot, whereas a guy like Donta Foreman may not even end up playing that much. He has been injured. He's pretty injury prone, so I'd rather go with a guy like Jerick McKinnon here. Now leave down in the comments if you would have rather went Donta Foreman. Now maybe you think I'm fucking stupid. Maybe you think I have to wear a helmet when I ride the bus, you know? But that's okay with me. We're going Jerick McKinnon here. After I selected Mr. Jerick McKinnon, Donta Foreman came off the board, followed by Phillip Rivers, N'Keal Harry, Austin Hoopa, Curtis Samuel, Peyton Barber, Jared Goff, L.A. Chargers defense, Jameis Winston, Jags defense, T.J. Hawkinson, Carlos Hyde, A.P., Deshaun Jackson, James Washington, Tom Brady, D.K. Metcalf, DraftKings Metcalf, and Ito Smith. So now we need another wide receiver. You don't need a backup tight end because you just drop one of these sorry ass motherfuckers if they suck, and then you just pick one up or if they get hurt. So it's all good. Now you're looking receiver. We got a lot of running backs. We need one more receiver, and then we're gonna draft a backup quarterback. Even though I'm against that, but I know that a lot of people do it with such a deep bench, I believe you have to do it. So at the wide receiver position is looking quite spry back here. We're gonna pause the draft in the 13th round. Now, a lot of you may not even know who some of these guys are. If you're with my channel, you know who all these fucking guys are. I talk about all of these guys, all these names. Now, we're going to be looking here. There's two guys here that I tend to target. There is my main man. There's Dante Moncrief, who I like. My main man all the way down here. Mr. Robert Foster, who now I'm not as much on because they're saying that Zay Jones and all these other guys are going to be getting the fucking targets. Very fucking confusing over there. And there's also my main man who I can't even find. There's Adam Humphdaddy. No, John Brown is the guy that they're saying is going to be the wide receiver too. So maybe I'll just target him here and reach down and just target a guy who could be on the field. But there he is there. Mr. Traquan Smith I like a lot to be the wide receiver too in New Orleans. So there's a lot of choices back here that are quite confusing. Even Emmanuel Sanders could end up being the number one option on Denver. Now Denver not going to be that good this year, but Emmanuel Sanders is pretty good. You saw that training camp footage. You saw those 7 seconds of him catching the ball. You saw that. Everyone sees that. If you're on Twitter, you're seeing all these videos getting all hyped up, getting a fucking half chub for this shit. It doesn't. These fucking videos they just trick your mind into thinking someone is so good. So we're just gonna go with one of the guys that I like, and that is going to be we're gonna go with Dante Moncrief, wide receiver Pittsburgh, the wide receiver 2 in Pittsburgh. Now I don't necessarily love this pick, but I think if he stays with wide receiver 2, Big Ben, he targets a lot of people. He'll throw the ball to Mr. Dante Moncrief, and I think that at this late in the draft, it's a pretty good pick here. So for that reason, we're going Dante Moncrief. After we selected Mr. Moncrief, we are looking at the quarterback position, and there are a lot of guys available late in these drafts, I noticed. So we're going to go with a safe pick. We're going safety first. Don't be silly. Wrap your willy. Mr. Dickie Dak Prescott, the guy who's been a top 12 quarterback in fantasy all 3 years he's been in the league. He's run for 6 touchdowns all 3 years he's in the league. He's very safe. Now, in certain games, he may not be safe, but as the season as a whole, he'll probably be very safe. So, as a guy who we're probably barely ever going to start, we'll just go with Dak Prescott as our backup. who may go in if the Falcons are playing a hard opponent or if Dak Prescott has such an easy lineup or a matchup. So we're going to go Dak Prescott. After we selected Mr. Dak Prescott, Big Ben Roethlisberger has been selected, followed by Emmanuel Sanders, Alexander Mattison, Anthony Miller, Justice Hill, Naheem Hines, Baltimore defense, Jimmy Guap, Paris Campbell, Greg the Leg Zerline, Justin Tucker the Fucker, Tyrell Williams, Minnesota Vikings, Harrison Butker, Denver Broncos, Will Lutz, Cleveland Browns, Houston Texans. Now we're going for a defense, and the way you go for a defense is you Google NFL schedule week 1, and you find a defense playing against a shitty opponent on offense. And that's how you pick your defense. Now the Cowboys, I target them a lot because they are playing against the Giants week 1. Week 2 and week 3, they have easy matchups as well. So for that reason, I like the Cowboys. I think that Eli is going to throw some picks. Daniel Jones will throw some picks. Really, they have no wide receivers right now. All their wide receivers are hurt. All they got is fucking Mr. Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley. Their team's in fucking shambles, and I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys here. After we selected the Dallas Cowboys, it is our pick again, and we go with a kicker. Now, the way you're going to go for a kicker is you're going to find someone who does kicker rankings of draft based off that. Draft based off which kicker you like. I don't give a fuck about the kicker. I'd like to get rid of that position, but I haven't gotten rid of it. I'm doing a listener league, subscriber league. There's going to be no kicker there because I don't fucking like kickers. So we're going with Steven Gostkowski. After we selected Steven Gostkowski, a bunch of kickers have been selected, followed by Devin Funchess, the man who cannot catch a ball. Devin Singletary, Delaney Oldman Walker, Dion Lewis, and McCall Hardman. So, our finishing lineup in this fake mock draft is Matty Ice as our quarterback. Our 2 running backs are Marlon Mack and Kerryon Johnson. Our wide receivers are Julio Jones and Tyreek Hill. Our tight end is Mr. Vance Refrigeration McDonald. Our flex is Robert Woods. Our kicker is Stephen Gostkowski, and our defense is the Dallas Cowboys. Our bench goes as follows: James White, Rojo, Austin Eckler, Kiki Cootie, Jarek McKinnon, Dante Moncrief, and Dak Prescott. So thank you guys all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you click that subscribe button so you can win your championship. Down below, or it's on the screen right now, it's Johnny Manziel throwing up the money sign. You click on that, click the subscribe button, and then click on one of these videos that are on the screen. And make sure to have a great goddamn fucking day because I hope that you just do. You know, everyone deserves to have a good day. Except for people who murder people like O.J. Simpson. So have a great goddamn day. I'll see you guys later.